Hello, hello. Welcome to our Drawing Basics unit number 3. What do we want to reach today? At first, we want to use our drawing from the last unit as a prompt for ChatGPT. Then we take this result and bring it back to Photoshop and combine this in the way that I did here in my symbol drawing for my channel. That means a transition from drawing to AI result. And then we create a background based on different elements like this here a little bit. We do this when the AI works so we can bridge the time in the best way. Okay, let us start. I hide my start part here, go back to our result from before, and then I want to bring this in a new file. For this, I create a new one. I press Ctrl N for new file. We use this 1920 to 1080 to 72 ppi format as a full HD format. This is the full HD format. And then I go back to my file before, go on the layer and press with the right key, mouse key on it, and say duplicate layer. This is what you can find here. Then I choose the target I want. This is our untitled file here, and press OK. Then I close my file with saving, and then I have the small head here on this white background. Okay. Then I increase the size because we can use it for the entire format better. But consider, don't do this so much you destroy the quality all the time, step by step a little bit. Sometimes as a resolution for we use a smart object, for example, to destroy the quality only one time. Okay, I increase by dragging here 2 times. And then I press the Enter key. And then I want to limit the file a little bit, and then I want to merge down. But before I want to save this Photoshop version here, Control-Shift-S for Save As. This is our AI image, in my case here, 02 in Photoshop. Then I save this by pressing the Save key. Then I press the M key to reach this rectangle selection. I drag it in the format I want. This is one possibility to crop an image. There's a special crop tool for, but often I prefer to use directly this rectangle selection tool. I go to Menu Imaged, and here I can press Crop to have the same result as I have with the crop tool. Okay, I press Ctrl D for deselect, and then I want to save a copy to save a JPEG as a file for my ChatGPT. That means we can use the menu or the short keys, and I want to offer you the short key. Alt, Control, S. I repeat, Alt, Control, S, or for the Mac users, Option, Command, S. And here I change the file type to JPEG and stay on the name from before and say, okay, 12 maximum quality is nice. Okay, then I close my original Photoshop file, save it. Then I minimize my Photoshop, go to my ChatGPT, and here where the, sorry for the German version, here for loading up, I use the plus here and go to Photos and Files. And here I choose the image I want and go to Open. Here it is. And then I create the prompt by writing, and I try to be so friendly as possible to my AI, because one times the AI wants to rule the world. I think that's why it's the best way, I think. Okay, hello. Please create a realistic, realistic digital imaging, digital painting, digital painting based on my drawing. To get a different result, that means in comparison to my, you can see it in the background, to my cover, I give some details into. At first, yes, young woman. Better idea is to use a comma, young woman. About, I do it a little bit older, as on my prompt before, about 35 years. Yes, then I use blonde instead of dark hair. Blonde hair. And instead of the round shape of the face, I use a edgy, edgy shaped face. Okay, then I say thank you and add a smiley. Hello, please create a realistic digital painting based on my drawing. Young woman, about 35 years. Blonde hair, edgy shaped face. Thank you. And then I press this button or the enter key. And here's the analysis. And the AI starts to work. And we go back to Photoshop and create our background. At first, I I create a new one. I create a new file at first, Control N. I repeat, Control N. Same format as before. I press create. Now we have this full HD format. Here I want to start, and I do this now accurate, not as before. Okay, this is my white, not weight, background. By the way, yes, I can show. I go back, destroy it by canceling. And normally we have the standard white background here, but I want to lock this. That means I don't want to be able to work on. That means when I choose my brush tip now, that means my brush key B, and have this here, and I go to black by pressing the X key to change the fore and background colors and try to paint here. You can see it's possible. It's locked, but this lock is transparent or white. This is what I don't want to have. Okay, I go back, Control Z, Z, Z. When I do the following, this here, and lock it, then it's not possible. You can see it's not possible to paint on. Okay, that's why I do normally at first the creation of a lockable background layer. Okay, white again, enter key, and right mouse key here under the eye for my gray. I know it's not really visible, but white it's not so important. That's why I have no saturated color for. Okay, I open at first the prepared part of the background. Control O again. I repeat, Control O. Go into my folder of the German version because there are the prepared folder. There is the prepared one. Yeah, the right one has to be. Dun, 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 dun. Here it comes. Yes, background. And at first I use the blobs. You can see there's a lot of combination into. Um, But I can tell you this is all real stuff. That means I prefer to use often photos and scans to create stuff. In my opinion, it's much better to learn and yeah, it makes more fun. Often you have not so perfect target orientated results, but and you have to use more time, but well, it makes much more fun. Okay, the blobs here are a scanned image. When my daughter was a child, possibly about 8 years, we go into the garden and we use a teeth brush to create a lot of yes, better like this here. And then a texture, a real one from a photo, and so on. This is what we use at first as a background. Okay. You can, or we use different steps to combine in one file. At first, we do the mess of shortkeys. Control A for selecting all. Control C for copying. Control W for close this file. Control V for paste into. I zoom out and check how tall it is. Control T for free transformation. And in this case, I need a lot of details later, possibly less. My suggestion is often that you go a little bit over the format so you can avoid this yeah, white edges. Okay, I move it a little bit sideward and up so that we have the best position. Then I press the Enter key. And then I call this blobs again. Blobs. And mark this with the orange color. I think I stay nearly all the time on the orange because it's really suitable. Okay, and then I press Ctrl S for saving. And this is our background. But I have to check that I go into our English folder now. Make sure that I go into our English folder now. This is here, background. Add AI, Photoshop file, Enter key. Okay. Then I open the next one. The next one is the crumbled paper. Here it comes. This is really a scanned paper. Okay, what can we do here? At first, I would say we have to turn it. Possibly for the beginners, yes, it's necessary to learn. That's why we go to menu, image, and here we go to image rotation. And here it's, yeah, it doesn't matter, 94 or backward. That's why I go to counterclockwise and repeat the process. Image rotation, counterclockwise. And here it is. Okay, I want to offer you another possibility to bring in the other file. And I want to create a selection before. I use my M key again for the rectangle selection. Go a little bit inside the edge of the paper. And then I stay here. And then I combine the view of both beside each other. For this, I go to menu window. And here I go to menu arrange and tile all vertically. I repeat, window, arrange, tile all vertically. And here it is. And then I use my move tool by pressing the V key. Here it comes. Take my selected part and drag it into the other file. And then I close my crumbled paper without saving. And you can see it's really, really giantly, but this is really cool. So we have the possibility to find the best image section for our creation. Okay, I show you. You can do this by using the show transform controls here in the control bar, or by pressing Control Control T for free transform. When we do this really small, you can see we have, in my opinion, a little bit too much details. That's why I stay on a bigger appearance and choose a part that is a little bit flat in the middle, whereas our portrait later. Okay. Then I want to colorize. Um, Today I show you at first, I would say, some destructive possibilities for colorizing already existing stuff. And step by step, we go into the non-destructive versions or in between. That means, yeah, we come with one click back to our original. Okay, I go into my foreground color with one click. Here I create a brown. I use, possibly you watched already a video before. Um, I worked in the past, I learned the profession of a printer. That's why I'm really connected with the CMYK values. 60, 80, 140. It's not necessary that you do the same. It has to be a dark brown, a little bit reddish, I would say, but only a little bit. Okay, then I want to colorize this. There are two possibilities, as often or always, short key or menu. I offer you the short key, Control U. U, the letter U stands for U in the meaning of color tone. And when I go to colorize, you can see it's a little bit of changing into. And when I increase the saturation to 60, you can really see it. Okay, increase a little bit more, and then I say okay. Then we want to watch through this crumbled paper. I call this layer paper and mark this with the orange color again. And then I go to my layer mode. In this case, normal, I change to multiply. That means all the bright parts are in a way a kind of transparent. Yes. Okay, and you can see it here in the combination as a combinated cool effect. Okay, I save this and then I open the last one, or possibly we take more. Um, yes, I take the millimeter paper here and then I turn it again. I go to menu image rotation, and in this case clockwise. And I want to create a selection again by pressing the M key, select the inner part, and then I do the third version of combining. I go to my Move tool by pressing the V key again, grab this, bring it up to the other tab, and then I drag it here. In the Windows version, you can see a plus beside the cursor on the Mac Okay. Then I release the mouse key. You can see it's giantly again. I zoom out. I have to confess, this is really an A3 paper. That was one. Okay, I press Ctrl T and reduce it. Zoom in by pressing Ctrl plus to check my result. Minus, Ctrl minus. I'm not sure what is the best size. I check. Possibly. Okay. Press the Enter key. This is already in the right color. That's why I go to my layer window, call this millimeter paper. And mark this with the color again. And then I go to multiply here in my layer mode. Here it comes. Okay. Here I would say we have to destroy a little bit the center. Now we have one problem. We have a lot of information around. You can see when I show the transform controls here, or here, we have too much information around, and that, yeah, possibly is one time a problem that needs resources. When we are really sure we don't need the stuff around, we can crop the image now. This is what we do now. I go to Control A and then I go to Image, Crop, and then I press Control D for deselect. And when we show now the transform controls, we can realize there is no stuff around. Okay, now we do a little bit non-destructive stuff. Sorry for German scattering English. We are on the millimeter paper layer, and we create now a so-called layer mask. Here it comes. Pressing the symbol looks a little bit like an old photographing machine. And I have to explain a little bit of this. I hide the layers here below to explain this function. Okay, layer mask means only to delete something non-destructive. That means we can bring back it without problems. We can do more again, and again. Okay, when I use black as a foreground color, automatically you have this black and white when you are on the layer mask. I press the B key. I am on 90% opacity, and I paint a black stroke here on this layer mask. You can see there's a black one, here's transparency. And again, you can see it's a kind of deleting. It is a deleting, but when we go with the right mouse key on the layer mask and we say disable layer mask, everything is really in function now. We go back to enable layer mask. When we want to bring back some parts, we have to paint only white on it. I change the colors here. You can use the X key or this curvy arrow. And I use white now and paint it over. You can see it comes back. This is really an advantage. Okay, we use it now to create a radial gradient into the center, so we have not so much graph paper here all over. Okay, at first I fill in the white to come to the beginning. That means the magical shortcut for filling in the entire foreground color is Alt backspace. Here you can see everything is white. Here's the white foreground color. If you want to do this opposite is Control backspace. Black in this case. I go back by pressing Control Z. If you want to use this on the Mac, instead of Alt, you press Option. Normally you can use the Delete key instead of backspace, 2, and that's it. Okay, now we go to the gradient tool and it has to be black. That's why we change the colors with the X key. Then we go up here in our, not really up, we go to the gradient tool by pressing the G key. If you can't find, press longer and go up to find it here. Then you have this control bar. Normally for my presentation, I use the old-fashioned classic gradient. This is a little bit more straighter work for me. Okay, we need a radial one. That means the second one. And we want to start nearly in the center. Okay, I do. And we check the result. You can see this is empty space here now, and we want to have a look how it looks in combination. I would say this is cool. This is what we can use now. It disappeared here in the center and around it's a little bit. Okay. I said possibly in the English class we combine a little bit more. That's why I open another one. Control O. And I use the textile here. Open. And I do this by using what we can do. Yes, we can duplicate again this background as the fourth version of combining. Right mouse key, duplicate layer, find the target here, and go to background head AI. That means our work file, and press OK. Then we can close the not necessary ones. And here you can see here it is. Okay. I check the size by pressing Control T. This is a little bit too small. My remark is, if we want to create a background and it's not so important that is really sharp and clear, we put a lot of filters on, then sometimes we can ignore a little bit that we have a too small original. Sometimes. Okay, I increase it so it's bigger than my work area. Enter key. Then I crop it again. Control A, image crop. Control D for deselect. Then I rename it. Textile. Colorize it and colorize it real. Pressing Control plus 1 or 2 times. And then I press Control U, but now we can do this with the menu, or as in second version. We go to menu, image, adjustments, and here you can find the hue saturations. That means menu image as a repetition, adjustments, hue saturation. This is what you can see, or what we used before. You can see here our short key. And then I colorize again. The brown is already here, so we have a orientation for you can leave out this process with the preparation of a foreground color, but in my opinion, it's more target oriented. I go to 60 and a little bit more again for the saturation. I repeat, foreground color brown, then Control U, then colorize button, then about 60 for the saturation in this version. Okay, I press OK. Then I go, as always, to the multiply version. And then we want to have this kind of hole here into the center again. And I want to show you how we can deal a little bit with the layer mask. You can grip it, and hold the Alt key or Option key and move it up. That means duplication. And now we have this hole here too. As the last step, I want to make it darker around so that we have a little bit more contrast in our final result. Okay, for this, I create a new layer. Now I use the student's favorite, the square with the plus into. And then I call this brown. Yeah, colorize again. I know it's a little bit stupid that I use all the time the same color, but it has the same meaning. That's why later we can use other for the face. Then I fill into my dark brown, no fear, we work with. That means in this case again, Alt backspace. Bam, the entire layer is filled now. Okay, then we want to have the same gradient outside. That's why I duplicate again my layer mask. You can see here. Then I want to have possibly a little bit more saturation, and I want to combine a little bit more. I check if there is a result when I go to multiply again here. Yeah, a little bit. And then I go to Control U and check if there is something, not really, only a little bit, I would say, but I do. I check if there was a result. Yeah, there was one. Okay. By the way, if you want to go back, means undo, redo, the best option is the so-called history. I drag it out of here. Normally you have this on the right symbol, line here or row. And that means when you want to go back possibly to this work step, you can go on, or you can go to use saturation in my case, and it comes back. Okay. If you can't find, you can go to menu window, and here in this alphabetical order, you can find it here on the H, history. Okay, I combine it with my work window here in my opinion here is, yeah, the most important stuff into. Okay, I press Control S for saving, and now we check our ChatGPT result. I fight hard to get my control bar here. This is really funny. Okay, I make it smaller. Check again. Whoa, it's the first time that there's a problem. Okay, we go to ChatGPT. And we go to our result here. Okay, this is our blonde girl here. I think it's much nearer to, but what I forgot is to say that I want it on a transparent ground, but we can deal with this. Okay, I go to load down here, and then I search my folder, YouTube channel, AI head English, and save it there. Then I go out of the AI and come back to the Photoshop. Here I open the result, Control O, go to my English folder again. Here it comes. I press Control A for selecting all, Control C for copy, Control V for close, W for closing, Control V for paste into. Okay. And we have another problem. Here's a cutting above. These are problems that we often have with AI, that the position is not the best, or yes, we we as human we forgot something to do. That means transparent ground or the best format or whatever. Okay, but we deal with this. At first, I call this AI. Then I give the red for this layer as a color. Then I open our drawing from before. This is Photoshop 1, AI image 2. Here it comes. I take the transparent one, duplicate it by press the right mouse key here, and go into my target again, background head, and press OK. Then I close this. You can see both here now. Okay, I bring my drawing after renaming under the AI result, hide for a moment this result, and place this in a visual kind of middle. Visual kind of middle, funny. Okay, for better positioning, I reduce the opacity of our AI image to 40, or possibly it's better to go a little bit up, 60. Yes. And then I move it first. It seems so that we have nearly the same size. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I have to correct. I forgot really to put in the format and to the command for transparent ground. I think I'm a little bit nervous today. Sorry for, but we solved it. Okay, Control T for free transform. We check if this, what kind of direction we need. Has to be it smaller. Yes, it has to be the eyes a little bit up. If you want, you can go up into the control bar, go into the percent of 1, and then press the arrow keys on your keyboard down. And in between, find a better position. It looks cool. Nearly. This is suitable. This is nearly suitable. This too. I would say for our test, it's okay. And press the Enter key now. Then I go to 100% opacity again. And I want to create a transition now. And for this, we use our skill that we learned. That means the layer mask. I go on the layer. I press the layer mask key here. Then I need a gradient again. It has to be black, but it has to be linear. We press G for gradient, go to linear. By the way, make sure that you have this to white or to transparent. If you have not, I explain. You go to basics and choose the one in the center. I repeat, this kind of angle or arrow, go to basics, and the center of is to transparent. Okay, at first I start a little bit more here in the drawing part later and go a little bit over. I hold the shift key to have a straight gradient. And here you can see the transition. We can do a little bit more. Yes. And then we deal with this problems here. You can see here no, it's nearly the same. There's not so a hard problem that there is a cutting here. We solve it with a soft transition again. For this, we use a brush tip. Go to the B key. Check if you have a round soft brush. We go up here and I show it again. In this general brushes, you can find it in the first position, soft and round. Make sure that you have 0% hardness. And then we can increase by using short keys. In the first unit, I explained it. In my case, is the Ö and the Ä key, these German letters, because there's no conflict with other English short keys. Okay, kind of, yeah, graffiti spraying again here. That means here I give a little bit the drawing more space. And here I create a kind of transition, but I go to 100 here by pressing 10. I repeat, if you want to change it, you can do this in steps of 10, 2, 20, 4, 40, and so on. And when you press 10, you have 100. This is a repetition, but I do again. Okay, here I do the same. Later we create a white gradient in the background, so we can use this white here in combination and we have no problem. You can see now we have a nice transition. And I would say it's a nice idea to, I said this already in the second, to create a white gradient in the background. Okay, this is what we do now. We go over the layer with the brown. That means at first into, then we press our short key for new layer, Control, Shift, N, call this gradient, I would say. Yes, we do. It's a white one. Well, I need this giantly letters. Gradient. And I take the yellow for. And I go nearly into the center, but I check it first. Go to the gradient by pressing the G. And then we have to change the colors here by pressing the X. Then we have white to transparency. Then I want to have the radial one here. Then I go into the center of my woman here, over the nose tip, I would say, and go outside. And release the mouse key now. This is really too much. And then I check it again. This is too less. In between, I would say. Yeah. Better, but we need a little bit more because of our white appearance here. That's why I do this a lot of times over each other. Yeah, now we reaches what I want to have. Yeah. This is here not really perfect, but I would say it works in a way. And this is a little bit too strong, but we need this for this appearance here. Okay. Yes, I would say this is the result for today. I want to give you an outlook on the next one. At first, I want to stop here, but now it comes into my mind that we can combine this with the Illustrator too. In Illustrator, we are able to use a function that called image trace. That means the automatic vectorization of photos or realistic paintings or whatever. It's not necessary that is realistic, really. Um, and I want to use this as a kind of filter. And on the other hand, I want to bring in an exact, accurate text into so that we have really a combination. Think about the name of my channel, combining the worlds. So we can combine hand drawing, Photoshop, AI work, and Illustrator at the end. Okay. Thank you for watching and learning. See you in the next video. Have a nice time. See you. Bye bye.